I have been living lately like a woman wandering a dead kingdom, with a candle cupped in both hands, trying to keep one small flame alive while the wind remembers every way it has ever ruined her. For a month and a half, I survived on bright things. Not real bright things, not joy with a pulse in it, but the museum glass kind, the curated kind, the soft little relics I could lift without bleeding too much. I fed myself memories the way a starving girl licks honey from the blade meant to gut her. I kept choosing the gentlest scenes, the light in them, the almost home of them, the warmth, the hope, the version of the story where love had not yet put on gloves and turned its hands cold. I wrote around the darkness like it was a body on the floor. I called that healing, but it was not healing. It was delay. It was standing in a burning cathedral and insisting, because the stained glass was still beautiful, that the fire had not reached the altar yet. Because this ending did not have the decency to die when it was supposed to. It kept twitching, block, unblock, silence, return, delete, reappear, a ghost with a pulse, a grave that kept breathing, a door that would not stay shut and would not stay open either. How do you bury something that keeps dragging its own body back across the threshold? How do you mourn when hope is still scratching at the coffin lid? There was no single moment to point to and say, here, this is where it ended. This is where the knife went in. This is where the world divided itself into before and after. No, it was slower than that, crueler than that, a candle dying by degrees, a winter that kept changing its mind just enough to make the flowers come up too early and freeze. So I stayed, not beside him, not truly, but beside the idea, the possibility, the unbearable little shard of maybe. And maybe is a savage thing. Maybe can keep a dying heart alive long past mercy. Maybe can make a woman kneel before an empty throne and call that devotion. So I hoped. God, I hoped. I hoped until hope turned feral in my hands. I hoped until longing became its own weather. I hoped until desperation moved in and began wearing my face around the house. And now it is sinking in. Now the floor is giving way. Now the sadness I kept sedated has come up out of the cellar with dirt in its hair and funeral bells in its throat. Now depression is here. Not dramatic, not loud, just heavy enough to make my bones feel borrowed. And PTSD, that ancient beast, that carrion-winged thing I have spent years trying to outrun, has found the scent of me again. It always does. Because when something good ends badly, it does not arrive alone. It drags every prior ruin behind it like a bridal train stitched from old catastrophes. Every grief, every terror, every night I survived by becoming smaller, sharper, quieter, harder to kill. That is what people do not understand. They think heartbreak is heartbreak, as though it enters politely, as though it confines itself to the room it was born in. But for some of us, hurt does not knock on one door. It throws open the whole house. And suddenly every hallway is lit. Every old sorrow rises. Every locked room remembers its key. Every version of me who has ever had to survive anything comes stumbling awake at once. The woman who was abandoned. The woman who was afraid. The woman who learned that love could look like warmth right before it looked like danger. The woman who learned to scan every silence for a trapdoor. The woman who never again mistook peace for permanence. My mind does not know how to lose one thing at a time. It loses in floods. It is wired for survival now, which sounds noble until you live inside it. Survival is not heroic at close range. It is ugly. It is exhausting. It is a brain that chews glass just to stay one move ahead. It is looking at every beautiful thing and immediately imagining its worst possible ending. It is kissing tenderness on the forehead while already measuring it for a coffin. My mind does not rest. It patrols. It does not dream. it rehearses disaster. And the terrible joke is that this is how I live through it. I think the worst thing, then the worst one, then the one beneath that. I gather calamity like firewood. I stack it in careful rows. I tell myself that if I can imagine the ending, maybe I can survive it when it comes. But the imagining is its own kind of grave, because every worst-case vision lays another stone on my chest. Every survival mechanism costs something human. Every way I save my life darkens it. So I write. I write because if I do not, the sorrow stops becoming weather and becomes landscape. I write because pain left unnamed breeds in the walls. I write because there are nights when my thoughts turn on me like hounds that have slipped their collars, and the only way to keep them from tearing me open is to give them a page to kill instead. I write because language is the only blade I own that cuts the dark into pieces small enough to carry. I write because otherwise everything I have lived through stays inside me all at once. A house full of broken staircases, a chapel full of ashes, a forest where every tree has learned my scream by heart. So I make poems, not because I'm brave, not because I am romantic, not because suffering is beautiful, but because I need somewhere to put what is trying to bury me. I need a place for the grief that has no clean edges, for the love that did not end, only rotted, for the hope that kept breathing long after mercy should have closed its eyes, for the part of me that still reaches for what hurt me simply because once, briefly, it also felt like light. That is the cruelest part. Not that I am sad, not that I am haunted, not even that PTSD keeps dragging me through the underworld by the hair. It is that after everything, after all I have survived, after all the graves I have clawed my way out of, something truly good came into my life and still ended like this. Messy, confusing, half alive, tender 1 minute, strange the next, then cold in a way that made every old wound in me mistake the present for the past. And coldness has always been the quickest road back to the places in myself I built walls around. Back to the version of my mind that trusts nothing, expects loss, and sleeps with one eye open. So yes, I go dark, because darkness is an old country of mine, because grief knows my true name, because there are nights where I can feel the whole architecture of survival locking into place inside me again, bolt by bolt, and it is lonely work, becoming a fortress when all you wanted was to be loved gently. But I am still writing. That is the miracle, if there is one. Not that I am healing cleanly, not that I am rising beautifully, not that I have learned some elegant lesson from the wreckage, only this, that each time the dark comes for me, I make it drag me across paper first. I force it into stanzas. I nail its shadow to the page. I turn my breaking into something with a spine, and maybe that is all I am in the end. Not a woman untouched by ruin, not a woman who escaped unscarred, just a woman who keeps feeding her sorrow to the ink so it does not feed on her instead. A woman kneeling at a desk in the black hour before morning, taking every ghost by the jaw and saying, "If you are going to haunt me, you will sing."